Hey, how do you feel about some high rarity cards, or maybe some foreign ones, or maybe be ahead of the game with others by preparing for future set releases with very quick shipping? Check out EJ Gaming and use code British5 on checkout for 5% off on all your orders. Link in the description. Greetings, Duelists, and welcome to another video. So, as you guys already know, we are in a new format. The format has already begun, like little less than a week. Uh, and you probably noticed that there hasn't been like super consistent daily uploads from me. The main reason for that is because I was doing a lot of testing in this format. I kind of wanted to see what decks I kind of wanted to pilot and like take on moving forward. Age of Overlord is coming very, very, very soon. So meaning that in the next following weeks, I'll probably be preparing for that format because Age of Overlord, it is a game-changing set. But that does not mean that we cannot take into account what's happening currently in the format as of right now before Age of Overlord. YCS Dortmund is this weekend, and I know for a fact that a lot of people heading into that event are not as prepared as they would have been before this new format has begun. Meaning that it's still up in the air what decks are the best picks, what decks are to be looking out for. We can say for sure that a lot of decks that have been doing well in the past format are going to be doing well in this one. For example, Unchained and Flow on the Reese and Rescue Ace and Dragon Link, just to name a few. Purely, another example. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to summarize every deck I have been piloting so far. You've probably already seen these decks on past videos and profiles, and I've tested these decks both on DB and IRL. I've tested in locals. I tested against friends, um, and yeah, not every deck is built like finalized. The only finalized list at the moment would be the Vanquish Soul deck, um, which I'm going to go really briefly into because you've already seen this profile. Um, we'll talk more in depth about the other two because I haven't shown them here like in a real profile yet, and I have done a little bit of testing with them as compared to I have with Vanquish Soul. But yeah, without further ado, let's begin. I'm going to show every deck first, and then I'll explain like my hypothesis behind every deck that I am showing. But first, we're gonna do Vanquish Soul. So, um, this is a lot similar to like the last list, like I showed. Not real changes whatsoever, but I'm still going to talk about it. Uh, 3 Razem, 3 Madlove, 3 Borgar, 1 Pantera, 1 Pluton, 1 Caesar. Until Age of Overlord, I don't think these ratios are going to change. I've been very comfortable with these ratios so far. Um, I'm still playing the Samurai. I already did a video explaining why I play the Samurai cards and the combo involving that. So if you haven't seen it, feel free to check it out. But yeah, 8 Samurai monsters, 3 Ash, Krikara, Dogron, Triple Crow, 1 Magna, 2 Druris. I don't think this is a kind of change either. I think we're going to be heading into a graveyard heavy format. That's why these are in here. There are also like correct attributes for reveals for Vanquish effects. 3 Stake, 3 Small World, Rhoda, Dust, Continue, and TTT. I still vouch for Small World. I still vouch for TTT. I think I haven't been disliking these ratios at all. Triple Rock. Now I do have the Lingeribo, so here's Lingeribo. Nightmares, Security Dragon. Last time I played this card, I didn't summon this card a lot before this past week. Now I've summoned this like a lot. It kind of won me like 3 games, and I'll explain that later. Baron, Omega, Angel, Excel, Zeus, Baguska, Dempsey, and Dweller. I'm gonna move the Chaos Angel to the side. I'll do this deck next. If you haven't seen it, the last video I profiled was this one. This is the Unchained Labyrinth deck. These ratios are not finalized, but I will show you like a little brief basis of what I have built so far. So, 3 Ariana, 3 Stove, 3 Chandelier, Cool Clock, Lady Labyrinth, and Lovely Labyrinth. That's it for the Labyrinth monsters. Sarama, Aruha, Sharvara, Chayama, Unchained Abominable Soul, Labyrinth, Prison, those are the only spell cards. Triple Chamber, Triple Escape, Triple Welcome Labyrinth, and Triple Big Welcome Labyrinth. Extra deck, and this is where Chaos Angel comes in. The Angel is included in this extra deck. So Angel, Muckracker, Double Yama, Double Rage, Anguish, Unicorn, Griffin, Abomination. I still iffy on this card. You will notice that there will be exactly 15 without the Angel, so I'm playing Angel instead of this. Goddess, Darius, Machinex, Caesar, and Zeus. That's it for Labyrinth Unchained. Now for the last deck. I profiled this a little bit ago. Now I actually built it. There will be 2 proxies in here. You will see it in a second. Because I do not own the cards. But this is going to be Chimera, the Chimera Shadow deck. So, Triple Coral, Triple Mirror, Triple Gazelle, Double Baphomet. That's it for the Chimeras. Hedgehog, Beast, Dragon, Squamata, Hollow, Ariel, Wendy. That's it for the Shadows. I'm playing the Trifers, and I'm playing Cartesia. That's it for monsters. Spell cards. Patchwork to go alongside the Edge Imp, as well as Poly. Deployment to be paired with Cartesia. Triple Chimera Fusion. Triple Super Poly. Shadow Fusion. El Shadow Fusion. Shadow Core. Shadow Schism. And 1 filler non-engine slot is Book of Eclipse. In DB testing, I've been playing Talents and Thrust instead of Book. And IRL testing outside of DB, I've been testing Book. And they both seem fine at the moment. If I'm not mistaken, this is like 41 cards. Illusion Chimera. This is the proxy. This is the King Chimera. I don't own it at the moment. Grand Winnow, Apkalone, Shekinaga, Winda, Double Construct, Guardian Chimera, Magnum, Mud, Garura, Dragostapelia. So those are the three decks. Um, I won't talk much about Vanquish Soul. Like I already, if you be on this channel and you've seen enough of this channel, you know that this is the deck I've been piloting the most. Um, I've been seeing a lot of tier lists, and a lot of people keep putting this deck in tier infinite negative a billion. And I'm just happy that they're doing it because it just means that people are not prepared for it. Like I've been doing very well against meta matchups with this deck. It is very skill heavy. You do actually need to know what you're doing with this deck. Um, but outside of that, it's been phenomenal. If I were to pick one of these three decks, this will probably be my first pick. Um, so the Chimera Shadow deck, I profiled this a little bit ago. A while ago, I showed the concept behind it. But TLDR, basically, I replaced like the branded engine with like shadows, and I'll briefly explain it. So basically, the ceiling of the shadow cards are lesser than the branded cards. Like it's a lot less explosive. However, this engine does have more resiliency. Another thing that this engine is good for is redundant hands. One issue that Chimera has is when you open or draw into redundant combo pieces and you don't know what to do with the surplus of cards. And once you exhaust like over half your engine, it just becomes like very uncircumstantial whatever you want to do with the Chimera cards or what's left over of whatever fusion engines that you play. Another really big selling point on the Shadow cards is that you are allowed to make Winda, and in this particular deck, Winda is stronger than other fusion decks, even like the Tearlament deck, because you can your Winda is going to be protected um, with Mirror Sword and Quartal, meaning that a lot of outliers that would just outright like be common answers to Winda won't be real common answers. Another thing is that Chimera Fusion can fuse into Shadow Winda if you use like Hollow or Baphomet like as potential cards, or if you use like stuff that are already on the board, like for example, Magnum and Guardian Chimera. Like you have four ways to make Winda, and you have even more ways to do it as well. If you like get to Schism, which you can get to Schism easily with the Cartesia engine. Um, but yeah, I really been liking this deck in testing. I think the Unchained matchup is not really that hard for this deck. It really depends on how you open. If you summon Winda against Unchained and they don't open any non-engine, you pretty much just win the game on the spot. Um, a lot of people are cutting books and they're cutting like other cards that were good past formats that could have overlapped into being common answers to Winda. So now people are just way less prepared for this when because they're playing more of their engine cards, and this beats a lot of decks that don't play non-engine. Um, but yeah, another really cool thing about this deck is that it can OTK, it can grind, like Magnum, the reliever in this deck, is slightly more powerful than in a standard Chimera deck because it resets your patchwork engine. You have fusion deployment as fusion fodder that you can use for the Magnum's effect. You also can pair it up with the Shadow cards a lot easier. Overall, I've been liking this deck a lot. I think this would be my second choice if I were to pick something that's not Vanquish Soul. Um, it does have a few weaknesses, like the deck is weak to Dimensional Barrier. Anti-graveyard cards are also an issue for this deck, but for the most part, I think the deck is pretty much fine, as as of time of testing. Now let's talk about the last one. I already did a video on this one, so I won't go too in depth with it. Um, so what started was that I kind of really wanted to test Labyrinth for this format because I feel like Labyrinth has a really, really, really good placeholder in this format. I think Age of Overlord is going to help this deck significantly. I think the way that the format is currently positioned is favorable for this deck. Because not many people are going to be focusing on the main counters for this strategy. The only outlier that could be a contingency plan for this deck would be Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion, because Ghost Bell, it is an key answer for other graveyard strategies, even though it's not the best one. Um, but yeah, and I paired it up with the Unchained cards because uh, I feel like Unchained is one of the better decks this format. However, I wanted a layer of resiliency and I wanted another dimension that could be tackled with the Unchained strategy, and I felt like Labyrinth just had a lot of synergy with it. Like, they're all fiend monsters, meaning that stuff like the Labyrinth card like can help with all of them. You have Escape, that is a removal trap card, as well as Big Welcome. So you have a couple of cards that can trigger your furnitures and your Labyrinth cards. If you draw into your like dead Unchained cards, like the Blue Dog, for example, you can just pitch them with the Labyrinth furniture cards, and they do like help synergize that way. Um, it's still set in stone. It's still not set in stone, like the finalization of this build. But I've been liking the concept. I don't think the deck is horrible going second anymore, at least as a Labyrinth deck. I think like the engine itself on both accounts like really really pair up very very well. I think this deck has a really really strong grind game. Um, it's still very 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 soon to tell. I have been testing it a little bit. There was a point where I wasn't playing Ariana and I was playing Tour Guide. There was a time I was testing like one Ariana and just the Tour Guide package, just so I don't clog into a lot of normal summons. Um, I think you can cut the welcome for, into two. I've been doing that in the DB version. Um, but yeah, shoutouts to One Rocky Boy. This entire Labyrinth on Chain Core is not mine. They're all his. Shoutouts to One. He lended me like half of the Vanquish stuff and half the Unchained. I mean the fusion stuff, the Chimera stuff. Uh, but yeah, this is how my testing have been up so far. I think this format is still very very open. I still think that there's a lot of stuff that you can be doing with different strategies. Um, but yeah, let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys are excited for. What decks are you piloting this format? Um, and yeah, um, starting next week, I'll probably be doing Age of Overlord like explanations, like going over the cards, going over the engines, going over what decks could be good with the set cards, and I'll probably do a lot of DB format testing as well. Um, but yeah, until then, uh, keep practicing and keep dueling.